but I'd like to clean that out a little bit. For all the benzoic acid and all the sulfuric acid, we want to get that out of there. Oh, I used the wrong stuff. I was supposed to use, damn it, I was supposed to use sodium bicarbonate. Oh well, next wash we'll do sodium bicarbonate. I can't believe I did that. Oh well. Shake it up. Let it sit for a little bit. 15-20 minutes. Should have did the baking soda first. I got sodium carbonate to neutralize both the acids, but oh well. Okay, we're going to get rid of the bottom layer again. And this time we're going to use the sodium carbonate. I was wondering why it wasn't bubbling. I was like, wow, man, there's like no acid in there. This time, saturated sodium carbonate, about 20 mils. That isn't fizzing that much, so the first two washings must have got a lot of that acid out. So let's shake it up. Not that much in there. You really don't have to vent when it's out. Real much of stuff. I mean, you do, but not that much often. Okay. You see, it's getting lighter too, or clearer, I should say. Both layers, actually. Okay, so that pretty much didn't bubble at all that much, so the acid must be neutralized. We'll just do a little pH test on it when we drip it out in 15 or 20 minutes, and then we'll do another sodium chloride washing. The reason why you do the sodium chloride washing last is because it'll help absorb any water that's inside the ethyl sulfate and the diethyl ether. Okay, I can't find my litmus papers, so I'm just going to assume it's neutralized. And again, the lower layer goes away. Again, I do the sodium chloride. This time I'm only doing about 5 mils. Alright, so by the time I did that, I only had about 10 mils of stuff left, right? And I used about 10 mils of diethyl ether, so I mean, I pretty much made nothing. Maybe a mil, maybe 2 mils. So I stopped at that point and realized I had not made anything. So that was a waste of time. But anyways, you learn from your failures too, so I learned what not to do. What I think is there's two things that might have went wrong. One is that since I only used a little bit of sulfuric acid, see, my plan was that since I was going to distill out the water, I wouldn't need the sulfuric acid to sequester the water. You know what I mean? So I only put in 2 mils. I should have put in, I think it was like 10 mils. But I only put in 2 thinking, hey, I don't need a lot of extra sulfuric acid, because that's why they put in a stoichiometric amount, is because that way it'll sequester the water. You're not supposed to get a good yield out of this stuff, but this is ridiculous. My only thought is that since I only had 2 mils in there, see, the amount of sulfuric acid also determines the rate at which you make the ester. So if you have too little in there, it might take forever to make the ester. Maybe it takes 5 hours to make the ester, and I only refluxed for 30 minutes, and I took an hour to distill all the stuff out, so that's 90 minutes. There might not have been any water made, barely any water made at that point. Because I used such a small amount of sulfuric acid, the reaction time, was just so long that there wasn't enough time to make any water. The other suggestion that someone told me is I used the isopropanol from this heat. But I put, I distilled it, and I put copper sulfate in here to dry it up. And then I distilled it, although they said it might be, I think triethylamine or something. I can't remember what they were saying. I think triethylamine. But it has, whatever it was, I looked up the boiling point, it has a similar boiling point to isopropanol. Although it may form, since it's an amine, it may form a coordination complex with copper sulfate. Because when I got done drying it with copper sulfate, it still looked white. So I put it on the stove to dry it some more. I left it there for a week, and it absorbed a little bit of water from the air and turned blue. So I put it on the stove to dry it back up, and instead of it turning white like it usually does, it turned brown. So it may have formed the complex with that trimethylamine, if there's any in there at all. We don't know for sure. But I think it was just the fact that I had so little sulfuric acid in there. Anyways, y'all have a great day, and always remember, science is great.